You are now listening to the I Think I Love My Wife podcast. And this is your best friend's best friend, Chidozie Okafor, ready to take you on another journey. Are you with me? Because I'm ready. Let's get it. This episode is sponsored by Nello Effect, a coaching and consulting service that helps people turn mindfulness into action as they navigate the dating world as well as their relationships. Follow on Instagram at nello.effect and find more information in the episode description. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of I Think I Love My Wife podcast. I'm back with LaDarius and excited to go through his journey, get through these round robin questions and learn more about his experience as a father with his two beautiful girls.
Thank you.
You ready?
Thank you. I'm ready.
Cool. So let's just go through the round robin first so we can get to the great stuff. So short answers, a couple words, couple lines.
Okay.
If there are some we want to double back to for more explanation or talk through a little bit deeper, we can do that on the back end. So is it necessary for your wife to be your best friend?
Yes.
Is it necessary for her to be your best friend prior to proposing?
I wouldn't necessarily say so.
Okay. When you were dating, was there any expectation around, or would you have liked to see, expectation might be strong. Was there a timeline in which you would like to see like her contribute to the date, like offer to pay or chip in that you had?
I feel like, I don't think I looked at that. Okay. It's kind of too surface level.
From a love standpoint, is it, how do you prioritize it? Wife over children or children over wife?
Absolutely wife over children.
Okay. Was your wedding worth it financially?
Yes, because we eloped and then we had the wedding after. So
okay. Ballpark, how much did you spend on the wedding?
I would say between 40 and 60K.
Okay. If you had a set amount of money to spend on one of the two things, which one would you spend more on, for a big ring or a big wedding?
I would say a big wedding.
Okay. Financially, how do you guys move joint accounts? When I say joint accounts, everything comes into one account and then you may divvy out to whatever accounts, or separate accounts. It all goes into your separate accounts and then you might contribute to a joint account.
Everything together, all of it.
Got it. What's the relationship with the in-laws on both sides?
Relationship is good on my wife's. On both sides is good. I feel like on my side it could be deeper than it actually is, but that'd be going.
But it's not like one of the we have to go see them type of things. It's like comfortable.
Yeah, it's for sure comfortable. There's no like tension or anything like that.
True or false? Guys mature later than women.
Later. Biologically, I would say yes.
When you think about your desired frequency of sex, I think we talked about it a little bit just for the round robin. All the time, monthly, weekly, whenever, every now and then. What's your desired frequency level?
As much as possible, first of all. But I would say
on demand. I forget.
multiple times a week for sure.
Got it. And
like three minimum.
Three minimum. Got it. A week. And what's the reality for you?
I would say, well, it's in seasons. It depends on the season, but I would say in our normal season, I would say about 2 to 3 is pretty.
So you're getting close to what you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question, but we'll wait. How much time do you say you get alone with your wife weekly on average?
That's seasonal again too, but I would say hours alone a week. I would say maybe like 10, 12.
10. Okay. All right, we talked about this before, but are you a journey person or destination person?
I'm a journey person.
Journey person.
Newfound journey person.
I'm a reformed
destinationer, yeah. For sure.
Do you think you're married up?
Absolutely.
Did you have any deal breakers leading into marriage? So before you actually proposed and stuff, were there things that the easy things to come to mind is like changing your last name? I want my wife to change her last name, or we're not spanking our kids. But were there any like things that you knew you're not moving the needle on these things?
Let me see. I used to always say I would never like be okay if they gain weight, but that's fallen off.
It's a life, man.
Yeah,
it's a life thing.
We have kids.
Yeah, I mean, and your ability to do what you wanted to do changes dramatically.
Yeah,
once you have children,
especially 30 plus. It's hard.
What is your wife's greatest attribute?
I would say her ability to create a safe space.
Very nice. I think that's the first time I've heard that. Maybe once or twice. And then, what's more important to you in relation to your wife? To be loved or to be respected?
I would say loved.
Okay, well, that was it. Hopefully it wasn't too hard, too tough. I do want to come back to, and I'm happy to discuss anything you may want to come back to. So you said that you prefer all the time, sex all the time.
Yeah.
Minimum 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And your reality, again, it's in season, but usual reality is 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah, now it is, but that's not how it started.
Yeah,
like,
no, for sure.
Not.
And you guys are coming off kids.
Yeah.
Just having like a newborn. What the area I wanted to get your perspective on is how much of that was communicated up front, or did y'all just naturally align? Because I've seen people that were in serious relationships, and although it might have started at that pace because it was fun,
yeah,
that wasn't what became their norm, and that became like a sore spot in the relationship.
Yeah.
And so I was just curious when you said it. And most of the guys, it's like, I want this, but it's a little bit less than what I want.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
So seeing that yours is kind of on par, and it's not like weekly or monthly.
Yeah.
Was that something you guys talked about, or you guys naturally we just like to have sex?
So initially, we did 2 premarital classes. So that kind of
Like 2
helped.
types, or just actual 2
like
classes?
2 actual, like we went through 2
Sessions
premarital classes before, like actual full 8-week.
Okay, yeah. So
sessions.
sessions of classes.
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
yeah, for sure. So we did that twice, which we kind of went through a lot of our expectations. So I did communicate that up front, but even though it did not start off that way, and it was a sore spot for us. And I think a big reason why we've been able to get to the point that we are now is because I really realized that it was more than just about sex, but it was about making her feel safe. It was undoing a lot of the negative experiences that she's had in the past, and once I began to like show her that I cared more about her healing than about what I just wanted from her.
Just the action of
you know
sex,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like the floodgates opened, and it's crazy because I kind of became blind to like the frequency of which we were doing it when I started really caring about her healing more and making her feel safe. And then the floodgates just kind of open, from there.
This is what I knew. This is what it took. That would have been on it before.
Yeah, for
Got
sure.
it. And so in our conversation before or off camera,
Yeah.
we talked about your journey, a little bit unique
Yes, very much
in
so.
terms of sequencing and pace. Care to share a little bit light the audience of what that was, and then we can go from how that's impacted your marriage and what and things that you guys have had to navigate.
For sure. So our story started out 2018, and we started dating at the end of 2019. And from there, we made it official at the beginning of 2020, and then I'm on this timeline.
Like 19.
Yeah,
and then,
19. Yeah. So basically, between like meeting and being pregnant with a child, it was about a year and some change.
So because you met 2018, you started talking
At the end of 2018.
You proposed in 2019.
2019.
She was pregnant.
Yeah, by 2019, like January 21st is the date of conception. I remember because we were
So within a year of proposing, she got pregnant.
Exactly.
So you were proposed before she got. I mean, you already proposed before she got pregnant.
No, okay. So I'm sorry. I'm getting this all messed up. So in 2019, January 2019 is when she got pregnant.
Got it.
I
Okay.
proposed May
Of 20. Gotcha. So you guys met early 2018.
18,
started
dating
talking
end of
end of
2018.
2018. She got pregnant at the very beginning of 2019.
Yes.
You proposed that spring of 2019.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Exactly.
Got it.
And then we eloped fall of 2019.
So in less than 2 years
Yeah.
of meeting, right? You were married.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're carrying the responsibility and the covenant of marriage. Within that time, you guys conceived a child.
Yeah. We conceived. Yeah.
So there's
for
a
sure.
lot. So I can imagine there's a lot of things happening.
Absolutely. Quick. Very quick.
General, you've only known this person for less than 2 years.
Less than 2 years.
So just of how this person operates, what works for them, preferences, what works for you.
Yes.
In general, what works for you in context of this person.
Yeah.
You guys are still learning,
Absolutely.
navigating, and adapting or trying to adapt.
Yes.
Right? On top of that, there's this new responsibility that you're pregnant. You're gonna have a child.
Yeah.
her body's changing, her hormones are changing, her emotions are likely
Yes,
changing.
yes.
You're navigating that. And then I would imagine the expectations moving forward, because she hadn't delivered yet,
Yeah.
that she's your wife now, just as you are her husband,
Yeah.
is also changing the dynamics. It's not like we're just dating.
Yeah.
And these are my expectations of my girlfriend. These
Yeah.
are my expectations
Of my
or
wife.
what I need from my wife.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And vice versa. You're a husband now, but
Yeah.
you're not carrying a child, right? So that's a lot to like navigate
Yeah.
change wise in a quick amount of time. Like, how did you guys survive?
I think that the first thing for me is when I found out she was pregnant, for some reason, like I had this overwhelming sense of like, I need to be there for her. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to make sure she feels safe. I need to make sure she's taken care of. So I think the heart posture for me was, I need to take care of her. You know what I'm saying? And from there, that kind of helped me prepare for the fatherhood piece, right? And of course the marriage piece too, because I'm taking care of my wife. But from there, when the fatherhood piece came on, it was a lot easier for me because like I didn't just like expect this like magic like switch to flip when like the baby came.
Yep.
So it was all about just like, what do I need to do? What does LaDarius need to do to be there for her? And that helped a lot with that transition because I think I knew that I didn't have what it took to do it by myself because I was raised by a single mother. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I knew for a fact that from an experience standpoint, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never been exposed to like a healthy like marriage like that. So for me, it really took me taking a lot of time praying and trying to like really read up on like what the Bible says a man should be. You know what I'm saying? And realizing what my experience said versus what the word said about it. And then kind of killing off those things that I may have picked up along the way that weren't necessarily conducive to a healthy relationship. But that's not to say that I wasn't critical along the way because, like we talked about earlier, like expectations is like we feel very obligated and entitled to our expectations. So I think that for me, if it wasn't for Christ, her heart for Christ, my heart for Christ, to really learn to die to ourselves, to learn to do what was best for what we felt Christ had called into reality, I don't think we would have made it because we had to go from like never living with anybody. Neither one of us. I'm just
thinking like, so for example, I met my fiance. The timeline was faster than I prefer, right?
Yeah.
But I met her, and I would say we probably got engaged within 2 years of knowing each other. And she moved in before that. So just the transition between, hey, we live together.
Yeah. It's a big
and
one.
then now, like, hey, when I propose, I'm not waiting till the day we get married to act like your husband.
Yeah.
I'm doing that when I said, will you?
Yeah.
Was when that started, even a little bit before.
Yeah.
When I decided I was about this ring, I already started acting this way.
You basically it.
Yeah. And my expectation is the similar. I'm not waiting for a ceremony of friends and family to do that.
Yeah.
And I just remember there were times where I could tell, and it was even communicated. It was just a lot of change for my fiance.
Yeah, 100%.
And so I could just imagine. I can't even imagine, right?
Yeah.
That like you guys, there's even more condensed timeline.
Yeah.
Then you throw in a child being conceived and like preparing for that.
Yeah.
It's just a lot. How do you prepare for what's right in front of you, which I would imagine feels like the child coming into the world. There's a clock on that. And making time for you and your wife to grow and evolve together, because that still has to happen.
Yeah. And I think what's funny is like, because we knew we did have a timeline of when his baby comes here, it's going to be about the baby, right? So between the time we knew she was pregnant to the baby coming, we knew that was our time to really be intentional about us.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that was one of the big things is like, we have to make sure we are being very intentional with our time together that we do have left before this baby comes. So like, we were like really getting to know each other. We went through, like I said, 2 premarital classes, which helped with like a lot of clarity on like what marriage was supposed to be like, you know, and like how to navigate it. Getting advice from older couples that like we still talk to this day from that class. They're mentoring us and helping us with that. So that helped a lot. But what also helped too was really, our daughter was born in October of 2019. We moved in together.
Come on, your daughter was born when?
October
of 2019. Yep.
Of 2019. Yep. We moved in together that same October into my apartment, then moved again into a bigger apartment in November.
Yeah.
And then from there, it was 3-4 months, COVID.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Throwing COVID, right? Like, yeah. So
we're newly married, newly parents, the world is shut down.
That we got to face it.
And it's like, it's crazy the timing of COVID, because to a certain extent, it allowed us to really slow down and build our family infrastructure more, because the world is shut down. You don't really have a social life to balance in addition to like all these other changes. So
and less distraction. Right?
Exactly. So I think that was a very integral piece of being able to really focus in on like, what is this dynamic for us? And like that really helped with bridging that gap of like all that transition at one time. So yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot.
When you think back to that time, what were some things? I know you mentioned you guys prayed. You guys spoke to. You did the 2 different premarital courses.
Yeah.
You had mentor couples that you guys talked to. Outside of that, was there anything specific that you did or that your wife did that really, like when you think back, like that was also super helpful in us progressing in the manner that we did?
One thing that my wife would always say that I heard it, but I didn't, like, I wasn't listening.
Yeah, you wasn't receiving it.
Yeah, I wasn't receiving it.
And
she would always say like, we're still learning each other. And I'm like, I heard it again, but it didn't sink in. And like, that is something that once I got it, it took the gravity of having to have it all figured out.
Yeah, it's grace.
Away. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But I'm somebody to where it's like solution. If we don't have it, then we are in calamity. And it's like, she's like very much so like, we'll get it figured out. But we are 2 people, 28 years of life, have lived 28 years of life. And we have to learn how to make that work.
And it continues to happen, right?
And it's going to continue to happen. It's still happening now. You know what I'm saying?
My fiance would say something. She's like, you're supposed to know this stuff. And I'm like, I've only known you for this amount of time. I'm not going to know everything.
Exactly.
And I felt I could see the frustration in her face when I say it. Or the fact, like, I hate when you say it, like, we don't. I think she almost took it like I'm saying, like, we love each other less. Yeah. And I'm saying, like, and I tell, like, I can't argue the fact. Like, there's only so, even if we knew and learned and optimized learning, there's only so much you can learn from someone in 6 months that if you had the same effort and energy, you can learn in 1 year, in 10 years, in 50 years, right? And so the fact is, like, yo, give us some grace.
Give us some grace to learn. Yeah, but also, it's like, I feel like what's also crazy about that is like, there's certain things you're still learning yourself in this, because it's like there's certain things when it comes to marriage, right, and parenting as well. It's like there's certain things about yourself that you don't know until you're in the situation. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you may think you're patient.
No, it's a different. You realize there's levels.
There's levels to patience. You know what I'm saying?
I thought, like, I want, you know, you like, I'm a patient person. And you're like, oh, I'm in tier 3 of patience.
Yeah, like I literally told my wife I was
there's
patient,
7 tiers.
Yes,
of patience,
and I'm at the bottom of it. You know what I'm saying? I literally told my wife when we first started dating. She was like, "What is one thing you are like proud of about yourself?" I was like, "I'm a patient man."
And she's like, "Hell no."
Yeah, where did he go? That you told me that you were. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I didn't realize I didn't have as much patience as I thought I had until I was facing situations that required a different level of patience. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I had to really realize that we're still learning each other, but we're also still learning ourselves. So how can I expect you to know me when I'm still figuring me out? You know what I'm saying?
Sure,
and it took a lot of y'all need to be here at this point. By this time, she should know. By this time, you should know. Yeah. And it's like, until you know, you know. You know what I'm saying?
Don't assume. I always say over communicate. I was like, you don't lose I can't prove it scientifically, but it's less likely that you have to lose by over communicating. It may take you a little bit more time, but you have a lot less to lose by over communicating.
Absolutely. Like those small misunderstandings.
Oh yeah, and she would. Funny thing, she would hate. She was like, "Why are we fighting about this thing? It doesn't even make sense." And you mentioned earlier, like, "Hey, you wanted to build the infrastructure."
Yeah.
And I would tell like, "No, we need to handle this the way and work out how we want to handle it."
Yeah.
It may feel like a lot and a lot of energy spent on this small, minute thing, but we need to figure out how we are. Like, what's our process to handle it? Because when it's bigger and we're more emotionally involved, this needs to be our default.
Yes.
But if we can't handle this and we don't know how we handle it, when something big comes, we may not have the ability to say, well, it's not that big, let me chill out.
Yeah, that is so true. It's like, what I've described this as is like, when it comes to not being able to like build that foundation in these small things that you like are trying to get on the default level, it's like, and you're in a ring fighting, and it's like you're required to fight, but you're trying to pat yourself up while you're in the ring. And it's like, no, it's time to fight.
Yeah.
Like you need not to be focusing on trying to pat yourself up, because like you need to be ready to execute, you know? And it's like, there's nothing worse than being in a situation that requires you to be whole or to be at a certain level and you're not able to give yourself to it because you haven't done the healing. You haven't done the work to be whole in a certain area, but it's like your situation requires it, but you don't have it to give. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's when people, I won't go as far as say self-destruct, but I do think that's when people become more frustrated by the situation.
Absolutely.
Because in those moments, that recognition continues to slap them in the face.
Yes.
It's like you're seeing it, you know, like there's nothing more like you have to give. And it feels like there's nothing you can do about it. Because healing is not a one-day thing. Yeah. And so you might know, like, well, I have work to do, but it doesn't change the fact that, like, to move forward the next day, you have to keep, it's like playing a game, you know, like, we don't have a team to win.
Yeah, we don't have a team to win.
It's like, we practice, we got a squad, but like, this is not the team that's going to be competitive. Yes. And so I can imagine playing a game for a whole season, like being in whatever sport for a whole season, knowing that you're not equipped. Yes. Like, you may have thought you had a chance, and you might, and the reality is you don't. Yeah. But there's a difference where you know, and you have to put up the effort. Yeah. To show up, knowing that like I'm going to lose. Yeah. I can only imagine like the frustration that goes, and then you get even more defensive, and it then manifests into a lot more things that can become destructive.
Yeah, and that's why I think that it's important before you enter a relationship seriously to marry somebody, or even enter marriage, is like there's two things that you really have to like at least have started the process on, and that is, one is healing from like past trauma and unpacking that stuff, and two, cultivating your relationship with Christ, because what Christ shows you is how you're supposed to operate and the standard that you're supposed to operate at. But what healing does and looking at your past traumas and unpacking that stuff, it shows you why you aren't able to operate the way Christ is showing you how to operate. So you're informed about, oh, this is why I can't access this, or why I haven't been able to access this. Let me pray about this specific area. Like, I realize I lack empathy. You know what I'm saying? Because my mom wasn't very empathetic with me. Yeah. So it's like, now I can pray about, God, let me be more empathetic with my daughters. You know what I'm saying? Versus like, I'm blind to the fact that I'm less empathetic, and I'm just like, you need to stop crying. You know what I'm saying? We create this collateral damage because of that blindness. And it's like, you think you're operating off of what you think is right, but really it's just a blind spot you haven't healed from, and you're not operating how you're supposed to be operating. So it's like, it's really important.
Yeah, I like that because when you said the first thing about healing, I was going to ask you a question, and you said also strengthening your relationship with Christ. Yeah. And so I'm glad that you had the distinction, because I don't want to say God can only do so much. Yeah. But I think God is only willing to lead you so far. There are things you have to do for yourself. Yeah. And in doing for yourself, he gives you instruments and tools to allow you to accomplish those things.
Exactly.
This episode is sponsored by Nello Effect, a coaching and consulting service that helps people turn mindfulness into action as they navigate the dating world as well as their relationships. Follow on Instagram at Nello.Effect and find more information in the episode description. When you speak to your healing journey, what are some things that you've done to heal? Did you go to therapy at all? They're not couples counseling, but just like therapy for yourself. Were there certain things that you did that helped allow for you to proceed in that healing journey?
Yeah, I think the first thing that I did was like really have a community of people that could love on me just for like unconditionally, just like love on me for who I was, not trying to get anything out of me. That was number one. That's lit Bible study for sure. Another thing was to find people who were doing the things that I felt I wanted to do, or the direction I wanted to go in. So having other male figures in my life that were having a healthy marriage and like really asking them questions and asking them for guidance. Another thing was for sure therapy. Was something that was super duper integral for me. I'm still in therapy to this day to unpack that stuff.
It's important.
It's very important, and it's like it's important because it's the proactive nature of getting ahead of this stuff versus allowing it to affect you and like carrying that stuff blindly. It's like I love it because it really keeps me like sharp on like how I'm operating in my life, both in my marriage, but as a whole.
Oh yeah, for sure. I always equate it to, and there's many ways you can equate it, but one of the ways I equate it to is because people are like, why are you going to go pay somebody to talk to them?
Yeah.
And there's a couple of things. One, we were talking about earlier with some of the guys, is like, you may only know one way to deal with something. This professional has multiple ways of dealing with similar situations.
Yeah.
And so now they're equipping you with more tools or more ways to deal with what you only knew how to deal with one, which may not be the healthiest for you to navigate that, right?
That is so true.
Two, it just increases your awareness of things. So now they say you want to see the pitch coming in slow. You're aware of these things. You see it coming in. You can modulate how you may want to act, or you can prepare yourself on how you may want to act versus just being so reactive to it.
Exactly.
I think some people are so sensitive to things because they're triggered.
Yeah.
And have no reason why they're triggered. They don't see it coming. So imagine you playing baseball and pitch is coming. You ducking, weaving, getting hit by the ball.
Yeah.
Like visually imagine like you had a batting cage and you can't see the ball coming.
Yeah.
You may hear it.
Yeah.
What that experience feels like.
Yeah.
Versus if you see it. And also now you've seen it so much where it's slowed down for you. Now you can figure out how do I want to react and respond to this pitch.
Absolutely. That is so real. I think that like it's very important to like understand that number one, like the pitch is coming.
Listen,
it's coming.
You may not know where it's coming from, but
it's coming. And it's like, even though you may not see the trauma is still impacting you and the other people around you. And it's more impactful to the ones that you love because they're in closer proximity to you, number one. But number two, it's like, when it comes to exposure, like that's the piece that like therapy helps with. Like you were saying, these tools and these resources that this professional has, it's like we're only as good as what we're exposed to. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, if I never seen it, how can I emulate it? How can I do it? How can I, implement this in my life? And it's like being able to meet minds with somebody who have navigated this with multiple people, it gives you the tools that you need to go into it and react to the pitch in a different way.
Oh, for sure. And it's where I get confused by people is that we see that connection in other aspects, right?
Yeah.
Where we get support.
Yeah.
It's easy to recognize, well, I don't know enough about finances or taxes to call someone like an accountant or a certified financial planner to help me think about long-term planning or do my taxes.
Yeah.
You don't have to do what they say.
Yeah.
They're going to guide you. You can be as hands-on, as little hands off as you want.
Yeah.
It's easy to say, hey, I already know so much about training, weight training, fitness. I'm going to call a personal trainer to help guide me, to help me get to the results that I want.
Yeah.
Same thing with interior designer. Hey, I don't know this much about this. Let me call an expert to help me. I don't have to do what they say, but at least give me more tools.
Give me the exposure.
Give me more exposure to what is possible, right?
Yeah.
When I got the ring for my fiance, she had some things that she wanted. And one of those things, she wanted her birthstone on her ring.
Yeah.
So I had ideas of how I wanted to put that on her ring. Her father passed away in 2017. And so I wanted to some way, and she had a very close relationship with him. So I wanted in some way to incorporate him into the ring. So I was like, well, she wants her birthstone. How can I put his birthstone on there too? And so I'm trying to think like, what are the ways that I could put it on there and where I could put it where it wouldn't look kind of tacky. Yeah. Because they weren't like two colors that go together, right? Yeah. And so I had these ideas, and the guy that I was working with on the ring, I was trying to tell him, he said, how about you do it this way? We end up putting it in the inset of the ring, so when she wears it, it's touching her finger. I would have never thought about that was an option to put it in the inlay of the metal, so it's not visible to her or anybody else, but she can see it.
Yeah.
He could have said that, and I could have said no, right? But I didn't have the knowledge to know that was an option, nor the tools to know that that could be done.
Yeah.
It's the same way with therapy. You don't know what's possible, and you don't have the tools, but for some whatever reason, we look at that and say, well, I don't need to go.
Yeah.
You know?
I think the reason really boils down to the reason why I was tricked before I started going to it, which is believing that because I'm out of the situation, then the situation is out of me.
Yeah, it's not, you're not fazed by it.
You know, it's like, okay, I'm no longer in the trauma of I'm not under my mom's roof anymore. So I'm good. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I was tricked of. It's like, okay, I have got financial success. I have arrived at this point of whatever, but it's like, really, there's things in me that I need to work out and uncover and undo and heal from that are a bit harder to recognize and realize. Cause I feel like the physical things, like a financial advisor, like the ring, it's like, that's easy to be like, I won't say easy, but it's like, it's tangible. Exactly. But it's like, how do you see physically? You can't physically just see trauma, you know? So it's like, to give it the actual validity of needing just as much of a solution as you needed for that ring, it's harder to come to that conclusion because you can't see it. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's fair. I do want to pivot because I know you got to run. When you think about, so you guys have been married for going on 4 years, right?
4.5 years, yeah.
And so in marriage, in the last 4 years, you come out of COVID, got another little girl. How would you say you've matured and evolved I'll give in 3 ways.
Yeah.
You answer it. As an individual, as a husband, and as a father. They might be the same ways, but they're different.
Yeah. I would say as an individual, I would say I'm a lot more whole. Because my wife has created a safe space for me to heal. I've learned so much more about myself, about my identity in Christ, about my purpose. So I would say I'm just a lot more whole as an individual. I used to be a people pleaser, man, heavy. And I'm realizing that like my worth isn't based on what anybody thinks of me. And it only was possible by my wife being the safe space that she's been for me over these years. As a husband, I've become a lot more selfless. I've learned to die to myself because I realized that I don't know what's best for me. So it's made me dependent on Christ for his direction, for sure, for both myself and my wife, because I know I'm the leader of my household, right? I'm the one that's supposed to be stewarding that. So for me, I've been very intentional with making sure I'm getting direction from Christ first and then going into, the direction versus this is what LaDarius wants for our future. And like, it's money, it's whatever, it's these trivial things. And like really realizing that I have to die to myself first and not try to imprint what LaDarius wants on her and my family and really impart to God in what he wants for both of us.
Gotcha.
And then you said father.
As a father, yeah.
Man, I think nothing heals you from your childhood trauma more than being a parent. My daughters have allowed me to grow so much in my empathy, first of all, for them, but also for other people. And it's allowed me to be a better friend, a better husband, a better across the board. I think it's helped me a lot because I'm just seeing somebody who is completely dependent upon me. And if I don't have it together, if I don't tap into this trauma and heal from it, they're going to be affected by it. And it's like to see that with them, I'm able to then see it in my other relationships.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
100%, man.
Cool.
Yeah.
How would you answer the same question for your wife? How have, in your eyes, how have you seen her mature as an individual, as a wife, and as a mother?
Man, so one of the big ways I would say she is matured on the individual basis is being less anxious. I think that she was very much so. She's always been one that's created her own safe space, and she invited me into that safe space. But it was because she was anxious about what would happen. And I think that as a result of our marriage, she's that voice has been quieted a lot because she's also healed. So I would say she's a lot less anxious as a result of our marriage. I would say from a wife standpoint, support. She has learned to be a lot more supportive as a wife. I think a lot of her, she was kind of guarded in that space because I think that like initially she may have had past experiences where like men took praise and support and like it went to their head, but for me, and she was kind of like resistant to do that in a sense, I think. But like as we've continued to do life together, it's become a lot more natural to where she knows it's building me up at a point that's not going to make me feel like I'm higher than her or whatever the case may be, but it's just building me up. As a mother, confidence is what I would say she's grown in when it comes to just her ability to feel like, because of the anxiety, because of whatever she may have experienced in the past, like impeding her from being able to be a good mother, to harnessing that confidence, to knowing that she is being able to handle certain things that she may not have thought she could be able to be like handle, like being alone, like just being alone with them. You know what I'm saying? Like being able to do that and not be stressed out and not given to anxiety and not, be drained by it. It's like I've seen her grow in that confidence as a whole. So yeah.
No. I want to know from you, what's the best thing about being a father, and what's been your biggest challenge within being a father?
I would say the best thing is just how much of a mirror it makes you put up to yourself, man. It's a lot of things that it's like this person's first experience at so many things is you. So it like allows you to put this mirror up to yourself and like show you yourself in a way that you've never seen before, but also show you God in a way that you've never seen him before, because it shows you how much patience, how much grace,
Right.
He has for us. And it's like, it just makes me so appreciative of that, but it makes me want to pour that into them even more. I think the hard parts is giving myself grace on the bad days. Because I don't get it right all the time. And I'm very hard on myself, even when I know better. When I know better, you do better, right?
Yeah.
And it's like when I'm not doing better, even though I know better, I'm very hard on myself at times. But it's like trying to learn to give myself the grace to understand that I didn't have the model growing up. So I'm still learning. I'm learning by God directly, of course, and the examples he's blessed me to have, but also giving myself grace to grow into.
Yeah, and even if you have the models, no one's perfect. No model is perfect. And so I think no one's going to get everything right.
Yeah.
And give yourself grace to recognize that.
Yeah.
In ways that you can fix it, and then try to do better.
Yeah.
Yeah. As we wrap up, I'm just curious to ask this to everyone in the wrap up. Wife aside, be honest, why did you get married?
Why did I get married? I felt as though I got married because I reached a point in my walk with Christ that it needed to be complemented, and I got to a space that I felt like he felt like I couldn't get further than that without her.
Listen, I always say, you only can be so good without a partner.
Yeah, and I'm not saying everybody has to get married. Some people can go full on.
I'm not saying that anybody has to get married. I just think that with the right partner, and motivate, you have a motivator that you can't push yourself to get to by yourself.
Exactly. 100%.
And so I'm not saying that you can't be, 89, 91%. And if you're struggling with that last 9, a partner can help you get there.
Yeah.
Just the motivation of exterior motivation.
Yeah, for
can
sure.
help you get there.
And that intimacy of like how close they are. Yeah.
Wanted to see, you talked about head of the household before. For you, what does it mean to be a man in your relationship?
Being completely as close as you can surrender to Christ, like surrendering everything to him and modeling his character at every capacity that you can is what being a man means to me.
And then you have 2 girls now, 20, 44. So you're going to be 20 in the early 20s. What advice would you give to her when it comes to the dating and exploring that aspect of her life?
I would say you have to know. I'm sorry, I'm big on Christ, so that's like
Yeah,
that's my
listen, you
that's
don't have
my
to apologize for that.
that's my
No apologies needed for that.
yeah. Like I would say, it's important for you to recognize who Christ is, so you can also recognize who He isn't. So when a man comes along, you know what's real. I heard this song. It was like, I know my designer, so I recognize the knockoffs.
That's real.
So it's like, for me, the biggest thing is like, know Christ so you can know what is of Him and what isn't.
Yeah. And then the flip to that, if you all were to have a boy, what advice would you give him when he was in his 20s, starting to date more seriously, things of that nature?
I would tell him to not waste his singleness. I think we waste a lot of time trying to quote unquote have fun, but there's a lot of healing that needs to be done if you want to enter marriage, that needs to be done before you do it, so the marriage doesn't suffer. So I would say be very intentional with your singleness.
Cool, well, man. Those are all the questions I have. It's been a joy.
It's been great.
It's been love, man. Appreciate you for coming. Hey, I don't know about you guys, but I enjoyed the conversation.
Oh,
I did want to know. This is not for me. This is not for the podcast. So you guys just sit tight.
Okay.
Listen, I don't think I've ever seen you not be sharp.
Yeah.
Is there extra pressure that you are a fashion consultant influencer to like have a bad day fashion wise? You always got to put on. Because I know how I go to, I do this for you, but I know how I go to the store sometimes. I'm like, I couldn't imagine you just having like a fade not tight or just a t-shirt and some
So
basketball shorts.
I get my hair cut twice a week, so I don't have, the fade's always right. But a part of the reason why I created the collection was to have something that still has a dressy, nice feel for it, but it's casual.
You can wear it to anything.
Yeah, literally.
That's real. That's real. Well, before we wrap, if you want to plug we'll put your Instagram, we'll put like Lit Bible Study, all that in the description.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
if you want to plug anything, want to give you the opportunity to plug or a shout out to anything that's coming up that people should be on the lookout for.
I would say just shout out to JCPenney, first of all, for the collaboration. It's great. Shop it if you can before it is gone. Shout out to my wife. Love you. And just shout out to Jesus, man. I love you so much. Thank you for all you've done in my life. And thank to you for this podcast opportunity, man. Thank you.
I appreciate you for your time and your opportunity. If you enjoyed this conversation with LaDarius and you want to see more from that, make sure you subscribe to the podcast on YouTube. Follow on Instagram at ThinkLoveWife. If you need counseling services, make sure you seek that. Check out Nello Effect on Instagram to find more coaching services. Until next time, you know what it is. I hope the conversation keeps going.